viewers. Welcome to Vegetarianism, a Noble Way of Living. I'm Bobby.
And I'm Sue.
Today I will be preparing an asparagus and mushroom tart for you.
And I'm going to prepare some onion pakoras. For onion pakoras, we need 1 cup of chickpea flour, 1 cup of self-raising flour. Then I'm going to use some dry ingredients, a teaspoon of salt for taste, half a teaspoon turmeric, a teaspoon of coriander powder, teaspoon of cumin powder, and a teaspoon of red chili powder, and half a teaspoon baking powder. Mix together. And you need medium size, approximately 5 to 6 onions, cut in lengthwise.
You're going to need 5 to 6 onions for this. Will this batter would be sufficient?
Yes. And add the onions in all dry ingredients and mix well, which is, it's going to be like this I prepared earlier. Now I'm going to fry the onion pakora. For the onion pakora, to check the temperature, just chop.
So the oil is the right temperature now, is it?
Yes.
Yep. You can put quite a few in there.
Yes. And turn them.
How long does it take for them to cook?
Each at least more than a minute and a half. Make sure it's nice and golden brown. This is the color, should be. It's nice and crispy. It should be crispy. Now, to go with pakora, I'm going to prepare some cucumber raita. For the cucumber raita, you need a medium-sized cucumber, and I'm going to grate it.
Do you not peel the cucumber?
No.
No?
No. And squeeze out the excess water.
Right. And you need 1 full cucumber, do you?
Yes. Right, we got cucumber here. Then you need a quarter teaspoon of salt, quarter teaspoon cumin powder, and you need green chilies, about half chili, vegan soya yogurt, about 3 tablespoons.
3 tablespoons. I notice you've drained the yogurt on absorbent paper. Why is that?
Because you need the nice and firm yogurt raita. So I took out earlier extra water from the yogurt. Mix well. Here's some onion pakoras.
Welcome back, viewers. I'm now going to make an asparagus and mushroom tart. For the tart, we've got prepared pastry, asparagus, soy cheddar cheese, margarine, flour, sliced mushrooms, soy milk, bit of mustard, salt, pepper. I'm going to take a pan which I've already greased. The best way to put the pastry on the tray is simply put the rolling pin under the pastry and roll it up, lift it up and over into the pan and unroll it like that. That prevents it from stretching. This is actually puff pastry, by the way. Now, fit it in nicely into the pan. Make sure you get the pastry into the corners. Make sure it's even and flat. And build it into the edge. And now this excess pastry can be trimmed off. The way to trim the pastry is to lift it up and simply angle the knife outwards and slowly, gently trim it. Turning the pan as you go. After you've done that, prick through the pastry so it doesn't rise up into a bubble and spill out the filling you will be putting in there. Next, I am going to bake blind. In other words, you cook the pastry without the filling so that when you put the filling in, it doesn't go right through the pastry and the bottom doesn't remain uncooked. I'm putting some pre-cut greaseproof paper and putting some beans in there so that the weight of the beans prevent the pastry rising. We're going to bake this pastry shell in a preheated oven at 220 degrees centigrade until it's lightly golden brown. I'm going to start off with putting on my asparagus to boil. I'll boil them for approximately 10 minutes. The water has just boiled, so I'll just pop these few asparagus in. In the meantime, I'm going to fry my mushrooms. For that, I'm going to use some of the margarine, approximately 1 tablespoon into the frying pan. Let that melt. And then I'll be adding the sliced mushrooms. Just toss them around. Let the mushrooms fry for approximately 10 minutes, or at least the liquid from the mushrooms should disappear, and let them get slightly brown. And now for the cheese sauce, I'm going to put the remaining of my margarine and melt it. So it's 1.5 tablespoons of margarine and 1.5 tablespoons of flour. And it depends. Sometimes you'll find that you might need a little bit more. You'll notice it's now getting lighter, a lighter mixture. It's beginning to separate more. It will just take on a little bit of color, and then I'll start adding my soya milk. And now it's beginning to turn red. Now I can add my milk. A little bit at a time. Take the pan off the heat and just work the milk into the sauce. Just mixing to ensure that there aren't any lumps in there.
How long does it take to cook?
Basically, after you've added your soy milk in, about 3-4 minutes, once it reaches the boiling point again, you cook it for about 2-3 minutes. It enables the flour particles to absorb the liquid. And now it's bubbling away. Reduce the heat and add in your seasoning. You've got your black pepper. Remember, you need to season enough for the mushroom and the asparagus, and then your salt. Now I will add the grated soya cheese. I'll be using 100 grams of the soy cheese. The cheese sauce is now ready, but I'm going to add one more ingredient, and approximately half a teaspoonful of mustard. I have some English mustard here. Mix that in nicely, it just enhances the cheese flavor. And my mushrooms here are also ready. So I'm going to add my mushrooms to the cheese sauce. I'm going to test my asparagus by just putting a knife through to see if it's cooked. And yes, it goes through, the knife goes through easily. So it is cooked. I'm going to drain it now. 2 of the asparagus for decoration purposes, and the rest I'll just cut them into half because they're fairly small. So I'm just going to cut them into half, and then I'll pop them into the sauce, which I've brought over, and just mix them up lightly, because since they're soft, they can be damaged quite easily. Now I'm going to check my pastry in the oven. It should be ready. And it is. You'll see it's risen quite a bit, and yet the base is still flat. Remove the greaseproof paper and the beans, set them aside. You can always reuse them later. And this is the pastry base you have here. I'm going to put this pastry filling of the mushrooms and asparagus in a cheese sauce into our pastry base. You now decorate the pie with the asparagus, which you have left over. And if you wish, you could put extra, the remaining cheese, sprinkle it over. It adds a bit of color, and it also gives a nice golden color when you grill it again. A little bit over there. And lastly, if you wish, this is purely optional, you could just give further color by sprinkling some chili powder or cayenne pepper to give a more festive look to the dish. Now that's decorated, I'm going to pop that back into the oven just for about 5 to 10 minutes until the cheese bubbles on top and gets slightly brown. Put it in the medium shelf. Right, I'll serve some now. Loosen it nicely and pop that onto a plate there. There you are. That's the asparagus and mushroom tart served with a nice green salad. Would you like to try some, Sue?
Definitely.
There you go.
Looks delicious. Divine. Would you like to try my pakoras?
I'd love to, thank you.
There we are.
Ooh, lovely.
Yes.
lovely and crispy. Thank you for being with us today. Hope you enjoy making these dishes.
Bye for now.
Bye.
For more details, please visit www.suprememastertv.com/veg.